and welcome back to our Preptember tutorials. I'm Turner Bass from Astro Panda Studios. In the last video, we talked about some of the basics of Git and how you would use it in contributing to your open source project during Hacktoberfest. In this video, we'll be looking at a really super simple repository that I created and demonstrate to you how we can put the Git tools we learned last time into action. Let's go ahead and take a look. All right, so one thing to note before we start any Git commands, we need to actually make sure we have the Git program. To check and make sure that you have it installed and installed correctly, you should be able to go open a command prompt. Could be Windows, Linux, or Mac, and just type git version, and you should be able to get a response. And this says that I'm on version 2.28 for Windows, which happens to be the latest version. If you don't have Git, then go to git-csm.com/downloads. Going here, you'll be able to get Git for whatever operating system you're running on. So go ahead and download that now and install it and make sure it's added to your path. If you're not sure how to add something to your path, go ahead and look that up now. And it's capital P-A-T-H, all capitals. All right, so working on our first PR. What we have here is an old repo. Whenever I first started GitHub several years ago, you can see it was actually 4 years ago, just a couple days ago. Really basic, really basic. A little bit of this information is outdated, so I'm gonna need to update that. And keep in mind that anything that I do here, you should be able to do on the repository that you've selected. Okay, so first thing to do is we wanna get this repository onto your computer. And here's how you'll do that. At the top of the repository, there'll be a button that says code. We'll click it. And you can clone with HTTPS, open with GitHub Desktop, or open with Visual Studio, or download a zip. I'm not going to go into all those steps. Those are available. Go ahead and look it up if you want some more information on those. So what I'm going to be doing is clone with HTTPS. I'm going to click the clipboard, and that's going to copy this Git URL. And here comes our first Git command we talked about, git clone. So I'm going to right click, I'm going to git bash here, and bash is the shell, the command prompt for Git. It has to run in bash. So git clone, and there we go. There's the URL for it, and clone should read that URL, and there we go. And now we have downloaded all of the code that is in the hello world. So we're going to go ahead and look at it. I'm going to open with code because I have VS Code installed. If you don't have a text editor other than Notepad, I would highly recommend looking into Visual Studio Code or Visual Studio. There are a couple others, but I highly recommend VS Code because it is completely open source and is completely cross-platform, so it'll work on any of your operating systems. I'm going to open with code, and now we have a code editor here. Okay, so I'm going to change some of this. So since I made this change, this is in Markdown, by the way, I'm going to say I am a software developer. I like memes, I make music, and really cool things. So now I'm going to save the changes to my disk. You can see this dot means it's not saved to disk. Saving. Now it's on my disk. And so I opened up a prompt, and here's where we're going to work through our Git commands and pushing to remote so we can make a pull request. Now, first of all, here's a command we've not talked about yet, and that is the status command. It will let you know all of the changes ready and not ready to be committed. All right, so here we go. Git status. Now, behind the scenes, I've already added this. Remember our staging. So I have done git add to add readme.md to the staging. Now it's ready to be committed. So I'm going to git commit updated readme file, and then hit enter. This -m says here this next string is going to be the message, or the commit message, the comment. There we go. And now this branch has not been created remotely yet, so what I'm going to do is push the branch while updating the remote so it'll contain this branch. And here's what that looks like. It's a simple command. Git push -u, or upstream. When I'm saying remote, I'm meaning the upstream, and then the name of the upstream, which by default is origin, and the name of the branch at origin, which will be my branch. It's gonna hit this. It's gonna look through all of the changes and pushed. You can see here, create a pull request for my branch on GitHub by visiting blah 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 right there. And so what we're going to do instead of following that is we're actually going to go look at the repository on GitHub. All right, we're back here at the repository. Now let's go look at this branch. I'm going to click here to view all branches. Oh, there's my branch, the one I just created. I'm going to click there, and it says this branch is one commit ahead of master. So I'm going to hit pull request, and it's going to give you a chance to review, and then you'll hit this button to create pull request, and everyone will get notified and they'll be able to look at your changes. So it's really important when you're making a pull request to be really descriptive about what changes you're making and why. That really helps the team maintaining the repo to figure out whether or not the changes you made will actually help them or not, and what needs to be updated during the review process. So I'm going to go ahead and make my comment, and the comment is going to be real simple because it's a real simple change. Made the README file more interesting to read. Now the next thing you'll want to do is include any links to any issues that you're specifically addressing with the changes you've made. And so here's what that looks like. This PR addresses issue, and we'll hit the $sign or the hashtag, and this little circle with an exclamation point in it is the one we are looking for. So I'm going to click this, and it just says addresses issue number 2. I'm going to review my changes down here. You may have more files. Everything looks good. I'm going to hit create pull request. And so here we go. We are now looking at the pull request, and it will have its own timeline. People can come and comment on it, ask questions. As they're looking through the code, they'll have comments specifically in the code. And there will be people assigning themselves to it. And you won't see this button because you'll be an outside contributor, but you will, if there are any automatic builds or testing and things like that, you will get some visual feedback here to let you know like how far along the automated process is, and you'll get notified on any comments people make for it.
And there we go, from start to finish, Git to GitHub. If you followed along, you just made your first pull request. And this is the end of our Preptember videos for this year. Thank you so much for watching and sticking with us. And for now, I got my coffee, I got my headphones, I'm gonna go find some music that slaps, I'm gonna write some code. Until next time, have a happy Hacktoberfest and happy coding. Bye.